Hi guys, it's Katina with Atomic and Nuclei Tin Jewelry, and today what I want to go over with you guys is hand cutting. Okay, so there's a lot of ways to cut tin. Some people use disc cutters like my circle disc cutter up here. Some people use jewelry saws. Some people use scrapbooking like steel rule dies. And I use all those. Well, I don't use a jewelry saw, but I use all those things too. I have a jewelry saw. I have tried to use it. Most of the tin that I work with is a little on the thin side, even for the really fine saw blades that you can find. Now, some of the bowls and trays that people find that are thicker, a jewelry saw will work really well with cutting those types of metals. But it takes a lot of time and patience to use a jewelry saw, and typically I don't have that kind of time and patience. So I do a lot of hand cutting. Okay, so to hand cut and to use, I use a stencil generally. Now, in the previous videos, I've shown you where I have ordered stencils from Cool Tools and Melanie Muir. Today, I have 4 stencils here, and I'll show you some things that I've made with them. So you can find these stencils on Etsy, and I apologize if I mess this name up. It's Hildegard of Alquina. Anyway, she is a tin jewelry artist, and she also makes these stencils that you can purchase off of Etsy, and they're not very expensive at all. I know for Melanie Muir, sometimes they're like $13, $15 for a stencil, but hers are basically under $5. Now, you don't get the graduated sizes with Hildegard's stencils like you do with Melanie Muir and Cool Tools, but you can get like a whole component. So you can see how this is designed to be a component. And same with these. Like you could make some graduated earrings or a pendant, and it's all laid right out here for you. And same with this. You know, you could just make a pendant with that, and then these. You can see that you have options that you can make a pendant or a full set of earrings. Now she's thought about this design. Now these are wood, okay, and they are a little bit thick. You see how thick that is? Okay, so a couple of points when you are tracing your design on the tin, you have to be sure that you are tracing the inside, and if you need to, you got to alter where your tins or your pins going, because otherwise your shape will be off just because of the thickness of this wood. But the good thing is, like some of those other stencils, they're plastic, and some of them are flexible and some of them aren't, but they can crack. I don't foresee these cracking real easy, so that's a plus. And she's really thought of this, so you could string them all up on like a keychain. She's got holes here where you can keep them all together and decide pretty quickly which shapes that you want to use on the tin. You can just kind of flip through them. And she's also got them numbered, which is really helpful too. Okay, so today I have used two of these. Let's see, I used these two. Okay, so I used the pie shape component from here, and then I think I've used this middle V-shaped component from here on 2 pieces of tin. Now I didn't trace it. I mean, I've already got it traced on here, but you can see how when you want to line this up, that you will want to be sure and put your marker or whatever you're scratching or tracing your stencil with, that you'll want to be sure to angle it so you don't so you want to get the full shape, and you don't want to short yourself on being symmetrical with your piece. I use Sharpie Ultra Fine Point to trace on metal, and I even use it for dark metal, because even on the dark metal, if you shine your piece just right in the light, you'll still be able to see that line, or at least I can. If you need to use something that scratches the metal, You can do that probably like with, if you have a little nail or something, you can probably scratch the lines on the metal. I don't typically do that, but I think a lot of people do. If you're worried about Sharpie residue, after you've cut out your piece, see, like you can see the Sharpie residue on this one. After you've sanded it all down, and I'll use a metal file to sand the edges here like this. I'll just use a metal file and sand it, and then I'll use 400 grit sandpaper and go over it again. If there's still any marker residue, you can take some 91% rubbing alcohol on a Q-tip or cotton swab or whatever, and as long as you haven't let the marker sit here for days on end, it'll wash right off. That alcohol will take that marker off, and it'll be no problem. Okay, so what you need is, after you have your stencils and you got your design on here, you need to get some shears. There are tons of different metal shears on the market, tons. So I can't say that one is better than another. I use these are Lindstrom. I got them from Rio Grande Jewelry Supply. One thing, they're really sharp. One thing I do kind of wish is that this part was longer, okay? I wish that my cutting area was longer. When I first started, I just got a pair of metal shears from Hobby Lobby and used those for a long time, and they were a little bit longer, and they are a little bit easier in cutting some shapes. But I do like these. There's so many on the market, you'll just have to figure out what style is going to work best for you. To keep them sharp, you'll want some kind of product like this, like Burr Life. Again, Rio Grande, you get it, and it is it's dry, so you just do like that, and it helps keep your tools sharp, okay? And then they are very easy to flex. All right. So you are ready to cut your tin. A couple of points: if the design that you're wanting to accomplish is really intricate, and I'm going to show you this pair. Do you see how intricate this is? Okay. If you master a jewelry saw, you can cut that shape out. If you're not a master at a jewelry saw and you are relying on either hand cutting or punches, go for a punch. Get a metal punch with these small intricate designs. You'll run yourself ragged on trying to get clean cuts with symmetrical designs with any type of jewelry shear. Okay. All right. So before I cut, I'll show you a couple things that I've done here. These were made with this stencil, okay? This was a bowl. If you're interested in what that bowl looked like, you can go to my Facebook page, Atomica Nuclei, and you can see the bowl and other items that I made with this. And then this one, these earrings were made with this design. And you can see that I used this. Now, these curves are not easy. They'll take time for you to be able to master. So if you're wanting to learn how to hand cut well and cut curves and curved in spaces like that, you'll have to get some cheap tin, and you'll just have to practice. Don't get your good tin out and try to think that you're going to be able to make a clean cut the first time. Hand cutting takes practice. I'll show you a couple of tips that I know. You may have other tips, and if you have some that you can share with me, that'd be great. Okay, so I have two pieces of tin, okay? Now, you see, like, this piece I've already cut that part out of, and this is, I'm going to show you how to do a little more of a curved edge, and then on this one you see it V's in the middle, and there's a technique that I use for that too. Now I have one glove and one not glove. Use 2 gloves until you get really comfortable with using your shears, because as you're cutting, your grip might change, and the last thing you want to do is when you're cutting to stab yourself with your tin, because then there's blood and you got to stop and get bandaged up, and it's just not fun. Okay, so on this flour tin here, what I do is I trace my shape on here, and then I'll use my big shears to cut around. Let me see if I can get this on camera. To cut around pretty close to where I've already cut, because that just makes it easier to cut with your fine shears, with your metal shears. Okay, and it may seem like you're wasting tin, but you're really not. Okay, so I've got that here like that. Move those out of the way. Okay, and I'm gonna tell you, I can get, with this shape right here, I know that I can get bead caps out of this, so I'll save this. Okay, so now we have our tin. And a lot of times I'll even rest my shears on my table, because the more you can keep your shears stable and move the tin, the cleaner, more accurate cut you're gonna get, okay? And I start at the same place on each shape. So I cut 2 of these out. This is the second one of these I'm cutting out. So I'm gonna cut start in the same place as I did on the first one that I did. All right, now, a lot of people will cut just on the outside of the line. I don't, because basically I can never remember to. So I just cut on the line, okay? If I need to sand, I'll sand. If I need to trim, I'll trim. But most generally with that ultra fine marker like that, it gives you a pretty fine line to trim on. So I'll just trim like this, go right up, and on angles just cut all the way through. Okay, don't turn it, don't try to turn your scissors or shears or anything, just cut straight on through. And then same thing on this side, you're just gonna cut straight on through. All right, now we've got that. We are ready for the curved part. And again, as much as you can keep your shears stable and move the tin, the better cut you're gonna get. And I'm trying to do this on camera, so forgive me if I'm not perfect, because I'm trying to look at the screen and cut. All right, so we've got that there. There's your piece, not too bad. So if we want to see how well we've cut, we can put right sides together, flatten it out, and then if you can see metal behind, you need to trim, and we're pretty good. All right, so we've got those done. Okay, so trick on curved, well, on all shapes, but especially curved, move your metal, not your shears. All right, for these guys here, we're gonna try to get these 2 shapes to match. All right, so again, I cut on the line. Some people cut right outside the line. All right, it's your preference, whatever you get comfortable with. Once you get good, you'll probably just cut on the line. All right, so again, start in the same place as you did before and cut all the way through. See, I'm cutting all the way through, okay? All the way through. Okay, I'm leaving that. That's gonna be last. I'll have to have a lot of alcohol on this one. My pen is, or my ink is running, but that's okay. It'll come clean. All right. Now, for this part here, this V shape here, you're not gonna wanna turn your shears when you cut that out. Don't turn your shears. You'll end up marring this part here and having just a jumbled mess. So you're gonna come in from one angle, then you're gonna come in from another angle. So you just cut in here until you see that you are about all the way in. Come out. Don't snip with the ends of your shears. Both pairs of shears that I have owned, if you snip here like this, you're gonna leave a divot in there, and you don't want that, okay? So be sure that you're always cutting in with your shears and not the tip, okay? Now come on this side and come in. Now, this is gonna start to bend. That's a good thing, okay? That means that you're close. And if you just go back, there you got it. There you go. You have your shape. Now, if you see here, it is a clean cut. We're gonna put right sides together. Couldn't get my right sides together there. Kind of like you're sewing. And we're gonna measure to see how well we have cut and if we need to trim. On these, sometimes you need to trim. Yep, I'll need to trim just a little bit on these V's. I might not have gotten my stencil real clean, because if you notice on both of these, this side is thicker than this side. So that's the importance of being able with these thicker stencils to make sure that your marker is all the way in, or you'll have it a little bit thicker part on one side, but that's okay. I can trim that up. I can just trim that off. You got it? You can feel it when it starts to get in there. All right, now some of that you can file down a little bit. Here we go. Okay. Let's see if we've got, yep, they're pretty good. See that? All right, now, hand cutting is not easy at first. It takes a lot of practice, okay guys? Get you some cheap tin, get you some shears, and just practice your shapes. Practice makes perfect. And if you need to trim, you need to trim. It's okay. Not everything can be perfect the first time you do it. I trim a lot. Sometimes I get lucky like on these and I don't have to trim them. But the slower you go and moving that tin instead of your shears is what's really important as much as you can. Keep the shears stable. All right. So I hope this gave you some tips on how to cut metal with your shears. If you have any tips that you want to share, just holler back. Maybe next month I'll come up with another video of inspiration. Y'all have a good day. Bye.